All right, boys, it is a rainy Tuesday. We're currently at the Junkyard right now. I'm here to scope out a possible engine to get. So I talked to Jeremy yesterday. I asked him how much like a full swap would actually cost. I pulled the engine from here and like with the ECU, wire harness, trans, all that kind of stuff. And he told me the price, and honestly, it's not bad. So I'm kind of maybe gonna pull a V5. Not today, but I'm kind of scoping out if I could possibly put a full V5 together with all the parts that are here, which I probably could. So I don't know if it would go in this car, if it would go in the Savoy. I don't really know, honestly, but I got the price for an engine swap here, so I figured I'd just come scope out the engines and to see what's actually here and what's actually usable and not. So we'll see, but it's kind of raining crappy. Also, look at this. So right now the car, you can see that it's at 443.7 kilometers for this trip. I still have a half a tank left. My record is 472, I want to say, but I have a half a tank, so we're gonna hit 500 for sure this time. Granted, they're all highway miles, but still, that's a lot for one tank and a gas engine. So I'm pretty excited. We're gonna try and hit 500 this time, but let's go see if there's anything we're getting here engine-wise. Also, quick side note: a few of you guys said on this car there was no belt at all, which is why the temperature was like shaking. But there's definitely did I see it? I don't know if you can see that, but there's a belt there. There's definitely 100%. See it? There's a belt there. The tensioner itself right here, whatever hole, the spring or whatever's inside that keeps tension, is definitely not strong anymore. I can kind of almost wiggle it with my finger. So it's a bad tensioner. All the rest of the pulley sounded fine. Someone says a bad alternator, but this thing charges fine. There's no squeak from this pulley. There's a belt on there, so it should be just a tensioner. So like I said, I'm here kind of just scoping out the V5s. There's a handful in here. I think there's like 4 total right now. This one and that black one are both manuals. There's one automatic, and there's one more thing that got buried in the center section somewhere. I don't want that. But I'm just trying to see if it's even worth getting in here and trying to get one of these. Since my car, if I did swap into the Mark IV, I don't need to take everything because some of this stuff's already in my car. But overall, this engine looks, like these have been, that's kind of cut. The plug wires have been cut, which isn't a big deal. I want to replace those anyways. This vacuum line's been cut. The fuel lines are still there, which is nice. The tensioner, alternator, AC, that's all still there. It looks like there's still a belt on there, which is good. Looks like the intake on this one got a little bit crushed. So I said there's 2 or 3 of these ones that are here, so I can get a different one. That's a little bit crushed on the side there. Or is it crushed? Or is it like that? I don't know. It looks kind of crushed, but it might also be like that. I don't know. I'm not a V5 expert. This looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look too horribly like dirty or anything like that. Trans is there. Obviously, this one's a manual, so I would want this one. The ECU and kind of stuff is also here as well. Just kind of depends. Also, this is the 10 valve V5. I learned there's also a 20 valve, which has more power, I believe. The 10 valves have this style manifold, where the 20 valves have the black runners, if I am correct on that, which I think I am. But this one doesn't look too bad. So this is the manual. There's no battery. I can't tell how many miles are on this one. But what I could do is get a battery from inside, plug it in. If the connections are still here, there's one and there's one, so they are. And then also I can probably try and manually turn over, or maybe try and start out the key and compression test it and see where it's at. We can also check out this one over here, the other manual V5. All right, so this one does look to be a bit cleaner since the hood is closed. Engine cover pieces are here. The plug wires are still cut. Again, I'll get new ones. Move that real quick. This one actually has the airbox to it. All this kind of stuff. I think there's dirt. Like, I don't know, this car sat for a little while. I don't know. The other one actually looks cleaner and in terms of like corrosion on the actual parts, but this one might not be bad at all. There's a belt down there. Seems fairly clean. I said I won't know anything about the engine itself until like it gets like compression tested and we know for sure. But this one doesn't seem to be crushed on this side, so I think this is a better manifold than the other one. I'm not an expert on the V5 yet. Just kind of scoping things out to see if it's possible to maybe get one out of here and swap into the wagon or the Savoy. It would be kind of cool since the wagon is such a junkyard build with all the parts, almost everything on that car is from the junkyard, to do a junkyard engine swap as well. would be pretty cool. So far in terms of V5 engines, we have 2 potential ones so far that are both manuals, and I can also mix and match parts back and forth to make one like solid one. I think there's 2 more in here I'm gonna try and find right now. I know one's a bore and it's automatic, but the engine is still the same. And then I think there's one more manual somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. And I'm sure some people will say, why in the world would you mess with your perfectly reliable daily? And yes, the 1.6 is honestly like, it seems bulletproof. It just goes and goes and goes, but it's boring. Like, it's boring. The car's like comfy and you cruise out, but like, it's boring. It doesn't make any good sounds. It's boring. So we gotta do something. We have to do something. Next one here, the V5 in the Bora. Now this car came in about a month and a half or so ago. I think this car only had like 84,000 kilometers on it. Not very many kilometers at all. It came in for something. I can't remember what it was, but I probably have to fix that. But overall, the engine looks fairly clean. The intake manifold looks intact. That stuff looks pretty decent. Fuel lines are still here. I had to ask Jerry what it was, why this one came in, but I know it didn't have very many miles actually on it. This one though is an automatic, so I would not be able to use this trans or ECU or the gauge cluster. I have to pull one of them ones for the manual cars. But like I said, with all these parts inside here, I can probably mix together a pretty solid V5, I would assume. I think there's one more V5 like over all those cars. All right, so back here somewhere, I think there, that Golf is a V5 as well. How in the world we ever get to it and get out of here, I have no idea, but that is another one. So there's 4 total V5s here. I think that one was a manual last time I checked, but honestly, like, look at this. Like, how there's just, we're not getting to that car. I have to literally unstack. It's just, it's not worth it. That's another thing. Even if I do want to get a V5 on one of those cars, I don't know how I'm gonna actually pull it from the car and then get it home, and then how I'm gonna move it once I get it home. There's a lot of questions there, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. So I was doing some more searching around. And I found this car here. This is actually a Mark IV Jetta, I believe it was. I think it's an American spec car. This car, actually, I popped the hood and check this out. We have a, ooh, so not a V5, an actual VR6, 12 valve VR6, I believe it is, with this this style manifold here. This is the same block and head that I have in Miley right now, the AFP block and head. Not bad. And this car is also a manual car. Looks like all the pieces are here. The intake's actually in the car. The car's seen better days, but the intake's actually back there in the back seat. So that's all there. I just don't know how in the world yeah, getting this car out of here would be literally impossible unless we unstacked everything. But this would be pretty cool to have another actual VR6 to swap right to the Mark IV. Would be cool. I just don't know how in the world we would actually get to this car. If you look down there, all the spark plugs are still in, so it means that hasn't been open to air, like water getting in there. And actually this hood's been closed, so like all this inside here is actually pretty dry. So this would be a pretty nice swap to actually snag. I don't know how many miles are on it, but just looking at it, it looks fairly clean. So I don't know, and it looks like it came in because of that, not due to the fact that the car wasn't running anymore. So I believe this engine should be completely fine. It's a manual, which is cool, but like I said, I don't know how in the world we would get this car out of here. Like literally it's stacked on top of this car, and it's just, I don't know how we get to it. This would be a nice swap though. 12 valve VR6 out of a Mark IV. Like I said, this is the same block and head that's in Miley, but I just put all the Mark III AAA accessories on it versus the Mark IV stuff. Not bad though. This would be cool. So the rebar actually looks fine, but the radiator or the condenser here got punched pretty hard. So we would need a new radiator and condenser, but under the car itself, like the oil pan looks to be okay. I don't see anything there. So that may have happened once the car's already in the junkyard, not necessarily from the accident, or maybe because this whole piece is broken as well. But this section's like completely untouched. So is all this. This fender's trash, and all the way down's kind of trash. So I'm not sure what happened to this car. I mean, the windshield's cracked, the roof's like ripped up in the middle, but like this section's fine. So kind of weird. But I think though, the engine itself should be fine. Like I said, this may have all happened once. Like, there's a piece right there actually of this piece. So this may have all happened once it was in the junkyard, and it may have just been this stuff for the actual action of the car. So like I said, I think this should be fine. But how in the world would we get to it? I might have to just ask and see, like, hey, is there a possibility, like maybe in like a month or a few weeks and you unstack some cars and get this one down, and I want that. A V5 would be cool too, whatever's I guess easier, but a VR6 even cooler. I don't know, I'm just here kind of just like scoping out kind of stuff. It'd be cool to do a Junkyard engine in the Junkyard car, but we'll see what actually works out. But looking a little bit more closely here, it looks like everything's there. I don't see anything like cut. The plug wires are actually gone off the coil pack, but the coil pack's still here. It's actually broken. That one's broken, but coil pack's not hard to get. I have a spare one at home, I think. This is all here. The secondary like air water pumps are there. This is all here. All the trans pieces are there. The headers back there, I believe. All these hoses have been uncut. Everything looks to be there. Actually looks like it might be missing the actual ECU, but finding ECU wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to do. Most of this, I mean, it looks like everything here, I mean, I don't see anything that's cut or broken. It looks like everything should be pretty much good to go. That goes to there, so that's still here. This is still there. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so there's our little engine tour for today. Like I said, the price of a swap from here is super good, but then it comes to how am I gonna actually get the swap out of the car, how am I gonna get it from that spot over there to the car or trailer, how am I gonna get it home, and then once it's actually home, how am I gonna move it around? Because I have no engine hoist. I have a stand right now, but I can't roll a stand on the gravel. I have to build some sort of like, maybe even like just temporary, like a plywood little section where I actually roll it around and use the hoist, because right now there's no way to actually move it, which kind of sucks. But the price of a swap here is very cheap, which is nice. It's just actually getting to it. Ideally, that VR6 would be the best one to have. It's the most intact swap here. Only would need an AC condenser or radiator and a new ECU, but everything else looked to be there and it looked pretty clean. The V5s were cool too. I have to just go through between the 4 that are here and put together like one actual like solid one. But it could be done. So it just depends on if it's gonna, if the risk is worth the reward. I say it'd be cool to have a Junkyard engine for my Junkyard car, but if it's too much of a hassle to pull in from here and get it out of here, I might just buy one from someone who has it already pulled out of a car. We'll just see what's out best. But it would be cool. Junkyard engine for the Junkyard car would be cool. All right, so we're back home now. I'm just trying to think of how it would make pulling this engine out of here work with this kind of flooring. I'd probably do some sort of temporary like thick wood kind of flooring, just enough to move the engine hoist and the engine stand. I would have to buy an engine hoist. I have a stand. They're both from Florida, so I have a stand for that, but I don't have a hoist currently. But like I said, I would like to change this stuff out. When I first moved here, and even recently, I asked them about changing this flooring to doing concrete, something different, and they weren't really into the idea. They kind of just said like no loosely. I could probably try and ask again, but they didn't really seem like they wanted to let that happen in this garage. And they also have the big tractor that comes in here that puts the trailer away, which would probably crack. If it's not like high enough rate, it could crack that. So they weren't really excited about the idea. So I might not actually ever get a concrete floor in here, which I don't know. We'll see. But if I could make some sort of temporary like thick, small little wood flooring area, that would be enough to at least pull this engine, move it back on the hoist, set it off to the side, and do what I have to do in a small area. Either on this side, or even I did it on this side over here, where this side has cobblestone the entire thing, and also this side over here is more of like some sort of like large cement kind of section. But either way, whether I put the car over here or over there, I think we could make it work. And they have to figure out how to get the engine home from the junkyard, which I guess I could probably put it in the back of the wagon. I mean, if that was the worst thing I could do, or I can go to the store, rent a trailer or a truck for the day and just bring it home. I would need to buy an engine hoist first before anything else, because I can't move it here if I don't have a hoist. So hoist first, then figure out the flooring aspect of how to actually move it around once it's here. But once I have a hoist and how to move it here, it's pretty much easy at that point. It's just pull this one out, do some cleaning in the engine bay, and then put the new one in. Since it is a Mark IV engine, it should all wire up pretty much exactly straightforward. So I don't think it would be too hard to do. Just a few things prior that I have to work out just to make sure once the engine was here, I could move it and, you know, move it around on the floor and move it on a hoist onto the engine stand. So I don't know. We might go for, I said that 12 VR6 was the nicest one there, I think, because it was like so untouched. I might wait for a little while until they clear out that side and can get to that one, And then once I got it home, I put it on the stand for a little while, probably do the chains, and do a few other things to freshen it up, and then slap it in this car. I don't think I want to do, maybe, I don't know. No, I think I want to put it in this car to do the Junkyard engine, the Junkyard car, which also is a Junkyard car as well. But I think I want to do something different in this car. I almost want to do, I want to do 1.8 turbo in this car, or maybe even a 2.9 VR6. I don't know, there's so many options and not enough money, honestly, but that's kind of my mindset right now. It'd be cool to see a VR6 in this thing. Just make it more fun. Like I said, it's so reliable now, which it would suck to ruin that reliability, but it's boring. It looks cool. It drives super fun. I mean, it's super comfy, but it's really boring to drive. And honestly, something pulling onto the Autobahn in the traffic, there's just no power, and you can't really get out of your own way. So more pep would be much nicer for the things. So let me know what you guys think. 5-cylinder or 6-cylinder for the wagon here. Either one's gonna make this car a lot more fun to drive. And honestly though, if we do a nice little engine refresh before putting it back in the car, we shouldn't hurt reliability, and it should be honestly just good to go as a daily still. The only thing that will change is the mileage, but still, miles per gallon is what you want. Like I said earlier, the reason why I'm even considering doing an engine from the Junkyard at all, because the price at which the entire swap would cost me is so incredibly cheap that even if I needed to go through and redo a good portion of the engine, buy new pieces, this and that, just to refresh it, it would still be so much cheaper than me buying a swap from someone off the German eBay, anything like that. Because even then, like I found a V5 on there for like, I think 550 euro, but it was just the engine, no trains, no ECU, no half the stuff. So for me to buy that, then everything else, and it cost me about, I would say, maybe 750 euro, or maybe closer to 1,000, give or take. But get a swap complete from the Junkyard for so much cheaper than that, and then refresh it, and I know exactly what's in it. It's definitely hard to pass up. I'm gonna end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. V5 or VR6 for the wagon. Both would be cool. We'll see what happens with that. Currently, the weather's showing 80% chance of snow for the next 2 days straight. So possibly by tomorrow morning, we'll wake up and we'll have a nice layer of white snow everywhere. I just want it to happen. I know it gets like muddy and nasty after that, but it'd be so cool to come outside and to see a layer of white and then drive Molly out and do a big burnout in the snow. So fingers crossed it actually happens. Don't forget, be thankful for this today. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.